This is my paper planner. I love this paper planner. I find that plans are the best form of memory keeping, and it's been a while. It had been a while where I had been planning only digitally before I came back to paper, and I chose to come back with the Hobonichi, and I'm really glad that I did. Like, I'm very happy with my decision. Of course, like any planner person, creative person, I have gone through all the different iterations. This is what's working for me now. It's probably not going to be what's working for me for next year. I'm probably going to cheat on it. I'm probably going to look elsewhere, and I might come back. I might continue elsewhere, but I've just come to terms with the fact that I do what I need right now, and I'll fit it in. I do run a company, and so I do all of the planning digitally. I do all of my thinking on paper because that's how I think, and I like to think with a pen, and I like to think as I flow, as like ink flows through the pen onto paper. That's just my way of thinking. My husband, who is an engineer, he is okay with just thinking in his head and it's staying there, but me not. Like, no, I cannot. I have to write everything down. And so I have a little system that I have wiggled together, and it's really, really working for me right now. So I have all the projects for my company for the year digitally. I use ClickUp for that, and it works very well as a project manager. I also have a small team of people that work with me, and it works for them too, and we can all coordinate in one place digitally. What I use my paper for is, first step is Heartstorming, and so that's these two journals. This is a Stalogy A5, and this is a Hobonichi Day-Free A5. This one's finished for the year, and so that's why it's about, I'm not going to show you these, but it's like a little bit, used a little bit. And all my thinking, all my processing, all of that goes in here. I take this, I put it on the computer, it becomes project, it becomes plans, it becomes formalized. Sometimes I just let go of things, sometimes they continue and they form and they become digital in ClickUp. Also use Notion for planning, but that's more, okay, so if I had to, like, my ClickUp is kind of this, and Notion is this Heartstorming and big picture thinking and 5-year plans and all of this, and then ClickUp is day-to-day activity, what I need to be working on, and that's the same for this. The reason I then use this as well is because I need a place to write it down. I need to make it tangible. I need to think about it. I need to focus on it. What I do with my day usually is I sit in front of my computer, I see my tasks for the day that are there for me in ClickUp. I know at all times what I need to be working on, and then I'll take that list, I'll write it into here for the day, and then I'll work on it. And then if I have anything that I need to add, I'll write it on here. If I don't want to go back onto the computer, which is quite distracting, there's a synergy to it. Another thing that I really like is how I have merged these two systems together in kind of a hybrid. Once a month, I just go through and I scan all my pages for the month, and I put that in Notion, and so I've got it as reference. I take anything that's actionable from there and I put it into ClickUp. It either goes on my someday maybe list, or it goes into actionable tasks. And I put everything that needs to be there, and I take all of this because it's pretty disjointed, and I organize it digitally. And I really love that system. Another thing that I do, and this is my personal written journal. Sometimes while I'm writing, I'll have a business idea or a to-do item or something that I had forgotten that I reminded myself of. And so I'll just take a photo of this quickly so that I can move it to where it's supposed to be. I used to stop myself from putting work in my written journal, but I've realized you know, I am a human. I'm all encompassing. I cannot 100% split myself between work and personal. There's always going to be some kind of beautiful middle between the two, and each journal that I put in is I'm thinking in a different way, and each pen that I'm writing with, I'm thinking in a different way, and each day is different ideas coming out, and somehow it's all synergistic and works together. And I think, yeah, I'm quite happy with how it's going at the moment. So I did do a video on all the different things that I'm using, so I'm not going to share that specifically with you. I will share that this is I think, I'm like 90% sure, Hobonichi, Hobonichi, Techo, Avec, cousin. That means A5, Hobonichi, and 2 per year. And that is because of this. The reason I did 2 per year is just because of this. Like, oh, this makes me so happy, seeing all these crinkly pieces that I've used and seeing all these unused pieces that are there for me to love. My journals are covered with paper. This is from an actual weekly planner by Sostrine Green. This one is just a collage with bits from Flow magazine, old paper, ABC, maths homework paper that I found on the floor, an old envelope from Brandy Kincaid, and drawing of a pigeon that I made that I turned into a sticker just for myself, and this gorgeous quote. These guys also, this is just plain collage with a great letter from my hometown that starts off, "My dear bananas." Just, you can't get better than that. Liberty fabric, and this is traditional Xhosa fabric from my hometown. Okay, so we'll go through this one. I have officially finished it. This year, I'll start this with a disclaimer. This year has been an absolute disaster for me. It started off with COVID. We were in South Africa, and then we had to stay there because I got COVID, my son got COVID. And so we started the year on a really weird note. And I feel like I've had a lot of the effects of long-term COVID, and my son has been really sick a lot this year. Luckily, you know, he's just kid sick, so it's fine. But this year has been a struggle, and it hasn't been a productive year, so it's all over the place. But it's realistic, right? And so I'll do a flip through. It starts with my mood board for the year. My word of the year is quiet growth, which is 2 words, I know. I found the word gravitropism, and sorry, that's kind of my one word, but the idea is that I'm growing in a non-showy way, you know, the way like roots grow in a plant, not necessarily the way like flowers are blooming, just like a quiet growth and a softness to it. And so I don't do active work on my word of the year really, but I do make it visible, and I do leave it in places that I see. So I've got it here whenever I open, and I've got it in my Notion dashboard. And so I'm just seeing this vision board, and it's just going somewhere in the back of my head. And last year that really worked well. What actually happened with my vision board is near the end in November, I was looking at it and I was like, oh, all of these I have. And so I changed each picture for real life pictures. I mean, this year, you know, a lot of these pictures are my pictures. But I swapped all the Pinterest images and the Unsplash images, which is just a place for copyright-free images. I replaced them with my own, and one of the pictures was actually that I wanted to hire an employee. And she looked exactly like the Pinterest image that I had found. It was perfect. So her face got put there. This is the Get Messy Journey Guide, and that's just all the ways, you know, the paths that you take on your creativity. I won't go into that, that's just there. This is the Get Messy Year Overview. And so every month at Get Messy, we have a different season. We call it a season. It's essentially a theme and kind of like a rudder for how our month and classes to view the month in. So that's there. It's also something that happens Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with Get Messy, and so that's put in there. This piece of paper, this resonated with me. I'm sure you've heard this phrase before, but I was really struggling with not being able to get enough work done due to life. And so I had this is from an art journal. So I had an art journal lying around, and I just opened the art journal, wrote this down. It sat in front of me on my wall for quite a while. And eventually I just put it into here. And this is a good way of navigating things and deciding what to work on when you really don't have enough time. The year plan, like this. I saw someone on YouTube, I cannot link the original person, but this is not my idea, where they use this as a contents page. And so that's what I've done. I thought that was brilliant because I use Google Calendar as a calendar. I'm not using this as my calendar. And so, just wrote down the main things that happened. If it's pretty important and if I think that I'm going to be looking back at it, it's got a little star. So like this is a class that I'm working on. And so that's where it maybe not originated, but that's where a lot of good stuff is in. This is empty because this part of the year hasn't happened. The monthly view I don't use at all. Like it's lost on me. Absolutely lost. Like I said, I use Google Calendar. It would have been cool to maybe put what's on Google Calendar here, but if it's not serving a function, then I'm not really keen to keep it in. The week ones I also don't use. I did use this to set up visually a daily routine for me, just so that I can see where my time's being used. I used a color scheme. These are all done with Tombow markers. Yeah, and so that's a good way to see what's happening in the day. This is more planning for how I want to do my life. And so, this is, it is written here. Wednesdays for external things for Get Messy, which is like the marketing, the stuff that's outside of the membership. This is for membership work. This is for business work, projects, and then Monday just as a catch up. I've always been like, when I was a little kid, this was my jam. Writing routines and planning my life exactly as my jam. Obviously, being an adult and having a life and having people around me that, rely on me, and it's not just my life. This routine is a joke, especially with a young kid. Your routine becomes kind of a joke. Like this is just a hope and a wish. But as my son gets older, we are forming more of a routine. And the other thing that's nice is I can create these containers, and then I can fit the containers with all the mess. Right? It's kind of like, I don't know about you, but I'm the type of person, there's lots of boxes and like crates, I don't know what they're called, baskets and crates and buckets around the house for like keeping things organized. It's not necessarily organized, but at least the mess is contained in a little box. Like loads of these things. So this thing is not organized, but everything is in it. And then that's much more organized than everything all over the show. So that's what I do with my time planning, is the idea of buckets. And then also if things go awry or my son has to stay home from school, I can just do that. And I don't need to give myself a hard time about it. The rest of the week's not done. I think there were a few weeks where I tried it. I had my main tasks for the week, and then I had big events. But since I work alone in my office, there are not a lot of not a lot of these events. So they kind of left it over there, you know, kind of time tracking. But then we get to the daily pages, and this is where I spend most of my time. We started the year in South Africa and just stuck there. And so these pages completely unused. I did go back later and I used this, you know, space for swatching. But, you know, this was the first day back at the office. This is written in my written journal, my personal written journal. And so I just pulled it out and stuck it down. And I think this is maybe also a bit more of that container concept where I'm going to put everything everywhere. But my job is to like reel it back in. So, you know, whether I'm tearing the page out or I'm taking a photo and then writing it down again, or I am, you know, scanning in every page from the month into Notion so that I've got it in one place and then using that as a form of processing. I'm not going to try and hold back on the creativity in such a way that is destructive to my creative process. Does that make sense? Something I do like doing is putting washi tape on the side of a page, and that just marks this page a little bit. First day back, really struggled with it. Looking back, of course I didn't know back then, but I know now that I was definitely still like long-term COVID or just exhausted or burnt out, and I was really struggling to work. This is a pink post-it note, semi-transparent, that I really love, but the problem is that it doesn't, you can only write on here with a Sharpie essentially. And I can see, looking back at this, I can see what I was going through by like the questions that I'm asking, you know, like, can I run my company from Notion? Like, absolutely not. Like now I've got a bit of space and I'm just like, Kaylee, when you're asking these type of questions, it's a sure sign that things are a lot. This is one of my journals that I drew. This is a word that resonated with me. So the way that I set up these daily pages mostly is over here. I've got my list and then I'll cross out when they're done. I use the kind of a bullet journal thing where if I don't do the task, I'll do the little arrow for the next day, or I'll move it or assign it to someone else, but I don't use like an intricate system. Mental health day. This is some personal bits peeking through. And so I just, you know, I'm not going to stop myself, but if I could choose, I would like rather not write down a recipe in here, but these are bits of my life. So it's like mainly work with bits of life. And you know what? That's January already done. Like absolutely nothing happened work-wise in January. February, I tried to give myself a new lease on life. And so what I did is I took the ClickUp main projects and goals and focuses and I stuck it down here. This must have fallen from somewhere. I don't know where it's from. This is from Erin Ware. This is her Patreon, and I really like sticking these in. I like making my own stickers. I'm not big on buying stickers. I find a lot of them really cutesy. But yeah, these little things are from this stencil, and I bought this ages ago and nothing happened. And this was the same, I think it was 2015 when I bought a Hobonichi A6 and I really tried to make it work and it just wouldn't work. And I think that was because, firstly, A6 is a good size for me for art journaling. Like this one actually right here, you know, is just a little bit bigger than A6. And this is great for art journaling, but for writing, absolutely not. For planning, absolutely not. It just didn't work. And also I was trying to decorate it and really not just, right now I just focus on the tasks and that's where everything comes from. Okay, so the stencil, I really do like this because these little dots, you know, if you align them just right, they fit perfectly into into the Hobonichi square, same as these ones. And so I find it very worth it for that. But pretty expensive just for that. And I could just draw that. I have put in a bunch of photos for the, family birthdays, 9-year anniversary, all that. I really do like these little post-it notes. And so you can see I'm trying all the different layouts. Like I'm trying defining this little grid that they've got automatically there. Tried putting the important bits up here. At some stage I'll put the events here and not put them here. And sometimes I'll put, events here. I've just tried a whole bunch of things and I just do whatever I feel like, honestly. Here's that question again. I don't work on weekends at all. I like this for these things. So these are artists for Get Messy for this year, and preparing the images, preparing the videos, all that stuff. Something I do like about this is that I did have Shemi and Camilla's lesson as a task in ClickUp and as a project in ClickUp, but going through them on computer and on paper is just a completely different experience for me. And so I just wrote it quickly, did this, and was able to tick with an actual pen, and that felt really good. Here I tried again like different structures, so there's no structure, it's just really, I think the one that I've kind of defaulted to is using this for time and this for the to-do list. And even if I don't have this for time, then I've got this side for the to-do list. And I see that I didn't put that line there, but this is just for writing down anything that comes to mind. Over here is from my iPad, and I used to use GoodNotes exclusively for planning. So it was kind of my in-between between ClickUp and my digital planning and, paper planning. So GoodNotes did that. And so I still use it sometimes. It's, again, different way of thinking and it creates different things for me. But this was a meeting that I had, and then I just printed it out and stuck it in here. These are from Patreon printables. Patreon, I think this is, forgot her name. This is working on an idea for sketchbook revival. Personal tasks. I tend not to put my personal things in here just because, I don't know, I have a different way of doing that. My real life is not a productive life, right? Like I don't need to do productive things with life, only with my business. Note to self. Actually, this was from a podcast, probably. It was me paraphrasing a podcast. This is just self-made stickers. This is not a self-made sticker. This is from Brandy Kincaid. Every month she sends out what she calls Extravagant Hope. This is where this is from, and it's beautiful. And so there's a lot of this throughout my planner. This one, I like this layout. So I wrote the time for each thing. I had a lot that day, which was, I recorded my sketchbook revival lesson. I had a season hangout and then the zine workshop. And I wrote down the people that came. I wrote down my lunch. And I like this. I like how this looks. And then for the sketchbook revival workshop, I wrote down, she gave me the structure. And so I wrote that down as a reminder while we were recording. I could look down. And I prefer you know, when I do podcast interviews, when I do workshops in this format, and when I'm doing work things, I prefer to handwrite notes, then type them up. And I can show you, I'm not going to be sharing, I'll never share these. They're too there's too much heart and secrets in here. But these are my notes for my podcast episode. And I think things through by writing. And so while I'm talking to this person, was Janine, my book editor, while I'm talking to her, I'm writing down questions that come up in my head so that I don't forget. And I'm writing down all the notes. I'm writing down there if there's like something for my editor to take note of. Like over here, I hit my pen. And so I've got that all as reference. So yeah, so I think this was when I decided to start including the output of my work in my journal. This was the PDF that I made for this workshop. And this is the page that I made for the workshop, and I just glued it in. And originally it had something at the back, the actual recipe that I did for the workshop. But then I had a tax meeting and I wrote it on my iPad, and so that went there. This page I love, and this you can see I'm really making use of these little squares. I love that. I just wrote down all the ones that I had to do, and I highlighted as I went along. So yeah, so this page was, I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm looking at these pages and I'm endeared towards them, not because they're the most beautiful necessarily, but definitely because they were really helpful with my planning and they really helped me to work well. And there I did it again. This is a heart that a friend had painted for a baby shower. So yeah, groceries, we keep a list digitally so that, you know, whoever's near the shop, if they go there, they can just check it and then buy the stuff. So this is not often that I write this here. Here's a good example. I'll cross this out. I like making these little dots with the Tombow markers, and then I'll cross out when it's done, or I'll do this to say, can't do it, need to do it another day. Here, I really needed some happy bits, so I just wrote them down. This is like my all-time favorite picture for this year. It's me, by the way, and my dog. It's not, but it's royalty-free art that was made. Here I'm trying with drawing a box over it. Do not like that. This is this is a sticker from Patreon, and this is from Erin Ware. I love her Patreon. I love the printables that she sends out. It's just a phrase that I like. This is when I started thinking about the body of art class, and then you can see it's done on a Saturday, which is, I'm not working on Saturdays. And then I stuck in more thinking. Brandy Kincaid, and this is her butterfly too. I think this page, I mean, it's got post-it notes of secrets, so you can't see the secrets, but this page makes me happy both aesthetically and with how I worked from it. So Erin Ware, these are flowers that I printed. These are flowers that I killed so that I could put them in my journal, and then I just put sticky tape over it to keep it in here and flatten it. And then this kind of planning, I think, makes me very happy. These are the guest artists, these are what had to be done, and I highlighted as they went. This is thinking about a class, how I'm going to lay out the page. I needed to write it down. Brandy Kincaid. I've got very limited stickers. Erin Ware. This is a journal that I drew, that I had made and then drew, because I had finished my paper trail. My paper trail is a personal project where I took photos of every single journal that I've made, or that I have still, that I have made, and I put them in a collection for my own heart. Here I'm going with April again, so March, I didn't do it. February, I did it. April, trying again, where it's got the focuses. You know, March was filled with my son and my husband having COVID. You know, I'm kind of just working. I'm not proactively working. I am not passively working, but like retro, like trying to work amongst life. Whereas here is more deliberate. A reminder of my priorities. Brandon Kincaid, you already know. And here's when I start like just putting in papers that I like. You know, instead of I would never put this in my art journal, but I love this picture and I would put it in my planner. Same with these. I like the way this looks. You can see here, this is the Tombow marker, regular pen and Tombow. Let me show you. This guy and this guy. So Tombow marker for the purple, Tombow brush pen for this, and then writing. And I quite like this. Also like this as blocking out my time, knowing that between 9 and 12 I'm doing my tax, doing my expenses for the quarter, and that's how they go. I also like using a different pen for personal things. So I kind of have a thing where, you know, like if it's in cursive, it's probably personal, but I like this having different pens, you know, more different pens. Again, I like it. Reminder, this is just some vintage paper that I really liked. There I tried putting the times in here. Looking back, I don't like it. I think the only way that works for me really is to have all the times here and there. And there I still put the times because this system does irritate me. You know, where why is 9, like 9 should be written in that space, not on the line. It freaks me out. I had a whole discussion with someone about that. But so I wrote the times, but I don't need to do that because I'm not following it. I'm not using this to decide that I need to go somewhere at a certain time. I'm using Google Calendar to do that. Good words, good words, good words. More planning. Notes to self, writing, bits from all around. Messy May planning. I do quite like using alphabet stamps there. I like that bit. You can see I'm still really, really struggling with working. My health's not going well. My family's health's not going well. And so gentle to-do list. More thinking out loud. Or out loud on paper. And you know what? May was insanity for me because we had Messy May, which was a Get Messy challenge where we called it a daily-ish challenge. So every day there would be a prompt and an artist sharing something from there, but it's daily-ish. Like you didn't have to do every day, which is my way of doing things. And so May was insanity. And thank goodness I had to have a great team because my family was here and they came 1 second. And then while I would have liked to have been better at not working, I still had to work little bits. But this is basically just memory keeping, really. Another thing that I like doing is having these stripes. So if family's here, if we go away, this is for us going away. I like that. I really like how it sets the tone. And here I wasn't doing any planning, but I just quickly wrote what we were doing that day because we were doing things with my family being here. This is just noting that Get Messy turned 3. Gemesi Germany at least, because Gemesi's been around since 2014. It was an American company, and then 3 years ago it became a German company. And that's me signing the contract. You know, dad birthday prep. I would never usually put personal things in here, but May was a very personal month as I went a bunch of places with my family. Okay, this is another project of mine that I printed out, and I can see, interestingly enough, this is affecting this. This is old paper. But I cataloged all of my favorite books or all my recent reads in Notion, so I just printed it out. And I like that. I like a reminder of the stuff, that the output, right? Like this, you know, every month I do a review of the month inside of Notion, and then it's such a good way to show me all the stuff that I've actually done in a time where I'm feeling like I'm really not doing stuff at all, you know. Felt it coming back again. I like putting in petals and flowers. More Messy May things, and there you can see I am using this. I think this is this. And this I'm using as well. So not only this, but my Kaveco Dia 2. It's a full prompt list. This is our castle's birthday. And on the 28th, I actually had to go work because my family left the Sunday. Tried to come back, failed. My son was sick. My husband was in Sweden. I couldn't go to work. I still had to get things done. And so I went in on Saturday, which is like not my favorite thing to do, but sometimes needs to happen. Right, planning the week in advance. Ending off May with a wonderful artist date. And that's what we did. Starting June off with another wonderful artist date. And these two here, I think they got me out of my funk. Looking back, it's nice to see that, right? Like nice to see evidence of my struggling, right? And then evidence of coming back to myself. And so while it's taken me 6 months to get into this year, that's fun. It's fun. Yay, so much processing. And it's interesting because I didn't write about all that processing, right? Like there weren't all the tasks. Like I'm not seeing 500 tasks done, but I can write that. I think this is the same. I like this guy. I printed out a whole bunch of stickers for him. This, I tried to put in a full page of color. This is from the Flow magazine. It's just a sheet of color, and I try to use this because this was a big task for me. But I don't like it. I don't like this page. I think I don't like this color, so it also could be that. But this page, I really like. And this page, this little thing here, I really like it. And I think I found my juju again. This is a creativity commitment, gentle list, you know, a lot of gentleness with myself. I was productive, very exciting. A mastermind day off. That's a weekend. And here you can see I'm starting to get back into things. You can see I'm this exciting project. I really like printing out the projects because most of what I do is digital. And so putting it in here makes it tangible and exciting to me. This is a brilliant piece of advice that I got from someone, from Kay, and she let me know that you can just fill a water brush pen with ink. And now that I'm a fountain pen user, I've got loads of ink. And so that's what I've done here, and I filled it with a beautiful Payne's Grey. And so you can see bits of it all over here. This is the book that I was reading, and I illustrated and I just stuck it in. I'd like to do more of that. Flower. My son's sick. Again, what's new? And then, yeah, I wanted to have this. I was so confident. I booked it. I wanted to do my half-year review at my favorite place. And then my kid was sick. And so, yeah, super confident writing it down. Then I had to update it. And this is the last page. And so I just glued in something from the Flow magazine and these beautiful words by Brandy Kincaid. So fitting, you know, for the end of half a year. But I'll read it out. It says, "You made it to the middle, and whether it's messy or marvelous, you're still here, still trying, still willing to take a chance. Take a break from the bustle of the day. Read a poem, write a note, take a walk, pick a flower. Whatever you do, hold tight to the fact that you are making your way in your own time, and your pace is perfect." Oh, Brandy is great. All right. Then, you know, they've got all their back pages that I have completely ignored. I think my main thing is the daily pages. Whew, and that's quite the tour. I have started in my new one now, and it feels good to start the new one. I've got this cover page, which, you know, I think I was journaling in a zine, and then the zine finished and I didn't have a journal at home, and so I just did this bit. It's got all the same things at the front, more weeks that I'm not going to pay attention to. This was my birthday and I really like this piece of art in the first 2 days. And there you can see I've just started the second half of the year. Now there's so many pages to come. So those are my Hobonichis. That's the way I use it. Maybe it's giving you some ideas. Just do it. Like, just do it and have fun, and don't worry about it looking consistent. Don't worry about it looking pretty. Don't worry about it being all-encompassing. Just do the little bits that you like.